guys, welcome to the channel for a special WWE episode of the History Guy. Body slams, piledrivers, and championship belts. The WWE is a global phenomenon, but where did it all begin? Today, we're going to take a trip down memory lane and explore the fascinating history of the WWE. We'll delve into its humble beginnings, the struggles and triumphs, and the key moments that transformed it into the entertainment powerhouse it is today. So, buckle up and get ready for a body slam of wrestling history. Professional wrestling existed long before the WWE, but in the 1950s, the industry was fragmented and regional. Promoters competed fiercely, and there was no single dominant force. Enter Vincent J. McMahon, also known as Vince McMahon Sr., a shrewd businessman with a vision. In 1952, he inherited his father Jess McMahon's wrestling promotion and named it as the Capital Wrestling Corporation QC. McMahon saw the potential for a national, even global, wrestling brand. McMahon began expanding the QC's territory, signing talented wrestlers, and introducing innovative storylines. He embraced television as a way to reach a wider audience. In 1963, Vincent J. McMahon rebranded the QC as the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, or the WWF. This marked a pivotal moment. The WWF began to establish itself as a national force, challenging the dominance of other regional promotions. With larger venues, televised events, and iconic stars like Bruno Sammartino, the WWF captured the imagination of wrestling fans across the United States. Later, his son Vincent K. McMahon assumed control in 1971. In March 1979, he renamed the organization as the World Wrestling Federation WWF. Vincent K. McMahon founded Titan Sports in 1980 and applied the trademark of the WWF. The turning point came in the 1980s with the rise of Hulkamania. With charismatic stars like Hulk Hogan, Dusty Rhodes, Mr. Perfect, Jimmy Snuka, Jake the Snake Roberts, Macho Man Randy Savage, Andre the Giant, and many more captivating audiences worldwide. The WWF experienced unprecedented success, propelling it to the forefront of pop culture. This, ladies and gentlemen, was known as the Golden Era. Wrestlemania, considered now as the showcase of the Immortals or the grandest stage of them all, was the annual extravaganza dreamed up by Vince McMahon and became a cultural phenomenon, solidifying the WWF's position as a global powerhouse. Since its inception in 1985, WrestleMania has become synonymous with spectacle, featuring not only wrestling matches but also celebrity appearances, musical performances, and other entertainment elements. It has featured some of the most iconic moments and matches in professional wrestling history, and continues to be a highlight of the WWE calendar. WWF's illustrious golden era saw its sunset in the early 90s, as a cascade of challenges besieged the company. Vince McMahon found himself embroiled in the notorious steroid trials of 1994, a legal battle that irrevocably altered public perception of the WWF. Meanwhile, Duck W emerged as a formidable rival, enticing major stars like Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage away from McMahon's grasp. In response to these seismic shifts, the WWF embarked on a radical makeover, embracing a cadre of fresh faces such as Diesel, Razor Ramon, The Undertaker, and Yokozuna, aiming to redefine its image. This epical transformation, dubbed the New Generation Era, drew acclaim from both fans and critics alike, notably for its heightened focus on in-ring prowess, spearheaded by luminaries like Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. Despite these efforts, the WWF found itself grappling to keep pace with WCW, which embraced a grittier presentation epitomized by the emergence of the New WA. The infamous Montreal Screwjob marked a pivotal juncture, catalyzing a character metamorphosis for Vince McMahon, who assumed the role of an antagonistic, egomaniacal boss to counteract the meteoric ascent of Stone Cold Steve Austin. Joined by a constellation of stars including The Rock, Mick Foley, and Degeneration X, McMahon and Austin propelled the WWF into its zenith, the vaunted Attitude Era. This era not only vanquished Duck W in the Monday Night Wars but also catapulted professional wrestling into unprecedented mainstream prominence during the late 90s and early 2000s. cementing its status as a cultural phenomenon for generations to come. Following the highs of the Attitude Era and the buyout of WCW, the WWF transitioned once more, with Vince McMahon truly gaining a monopoly of the wrestling industry. The promotion would get the F out, becoming World Wrestling Entertainment WWE. After losing the name in a lawsuit against the World Wildlife Fund for Nature. Their two biggest stars, Steve Austin and The Rock, left the business for different reasons. WWE needed new stars to compensate for their losses, which inspired Vince McMahon to challenge his roster to find their ruthless aggression, which inspired a new era for the company. The Ruthless Aggression era would see young stars like Brock Lesnar, John Cena, Randy Orton, and Batista be immediately pushed as top prospects, alongside perennial champions like Triple H and Kurt Angle. Raw and SmackDown were also given separate rosters in the brand split, which allowed another world title to come into the company along with much of WWE's performers. To this point, much of WWE's product remained edgy in an attempt to recapture the success of the Attitude Era, but the returns were certainly diminished. WWE would undergo one of its biggest changes in 2008 when the promotion began producing PG television, much to the chagrin of many older wrestling fans. A reason for this change is the sad incident that took place with the Benoits. Chris Benoit was one of WWE stars, with 22 championships under his belt and a bevy of loyal fans. But everything changed over 3 days in June 2007 when, unbeknownst to the world, Benoit murdered his wife Nancy, then his 7-year-old son Daniel, before taking his own life. Benoit's autopsy offered some answers. According to Esquire, the wrestler had a severely damaged brain and 10 times the amount of normal testosterone. Benoit also had a heart so enlarged it probably would have eventually killed him, a common occurrence among athletes who abuse steroids and growth hormones. The WWE promptly erased Benoit from its website, DVDs, and historical references. WWE did, however, change some of its policies. According to Pro Wrestling Stories and Sportskeeda, they implemented a no-chair shots to the head rule, brought in doctors to supervise matches, and started conducting more thorough drug testing. The PG era is not fondly looked back upon, but there were positive points, including the Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, Triple H Wrestlemania trilogy. The modern version of WWE has changed a lot since the dawn of the PG era. But there have been some distinct periods that the company has gone through over the past decade. The reality era was one of the shorter transformational periods for the company, but was still hugely significant. In this era, the company went all in on promoting the WWE brand over its superstars, creating reality shows like Total Divas and Total Bellas to tune into the popular reality television market. Despite these shows being largely not about wrestling, they generated awareness and profiled more women in the company. This would lead to what fans now know as the Women's Revolution, in which female talent was finally treated with far more respect than they'd historically received in WWE. There were also many structural changes within the company, such as the introduction of the WWE Network and the revamp of the NXT brand, which was met with a great deal of critical acclaim. In ring, the biggest developments were the rise of The Shield, which created 3 future world champions for WWE, and the rise of Daniel Bryan through the Yes Movement. When the brand split was reintroduced in 2016, WWE rather forcefully pushed for a new era to begin for the company, which started off relatively well. The Women's Revolution continued through the likes of the Four Horsewomen and the debut of Ronda Rousey, whilst new talents like AJ Styles, Kevin Owens, and Finn Balor freshened up the main event scene on the main roster. NXT maintained its critical acclaim for some time before eventually succumbing to the WWE machine, all whilst AEW was being created to give Vince McMahon's company its first real competition for almost 2 decades, although it doesn't seem like that now because of AEW's horrendous writing. Now, after WrestleMania XL, the Paul Triple H Levesque era has come. Levesque's first WrestleMania as the one fully in charge, and he succeeded exceptionally. For both nights, fans and critics applauded Levesque's booking and him spearheading how the matches and storylines unfolded. Before, at least some parts of WrestleMania received criticism and pushback from fans. It was hard to find fault with anything at WrestleMania 40. As a result, this new era has also been labeled as the Paul Levesque era. It started when Paul Heyman said he was a Paul Levesque guy during his Hall of Fame speech on Friday. And Stephanie McMahon flat out called it such when she opened up Night 2. From its humble beginnings as a regional promotion to its evolution into a global phenomenon, the WWE's journey is a testament to the power of ambition, innovation, and sheer determination. As we reflect on its storied history, one thing becomes clear: the WWE is more than just a wrestling promotion. It's a cultural phenomenon. Thanks for watching the special wrestling episode of The History Guy. Let me know if you liked the video and would like to see more wrestling history content. This has been The History Guy. Until next time.